What's up, students? It's Sam. You might be looking around. Where is he? I'm in the green room, just daydreaming about better times when we used to all frolic and hang out in the chapel. Those days are past, but right now, in the in between, we're thankful to have technology where we can still stay connected to you. And so this week, I wanted to switch things up just a little bit. And we've been walking through a series called Back to the Basics, where we've been talking about the essential disciplines, spiritual disciplines in your lives. We've talked about God's Word, we've talked about prayer. This week, I want to talk to you guys about worship. We're going to talk about what is worship. And this isn't going to be a conventional talk. I only want to spend a brief time with you here, and then we're going to try later to ask some questions. And we're actually going to post a link in our bio on our Instagram page where you can go and answer some of these questions yourselves. And so we want to just create a little bit of interaction with you guys. And let's be honest, no one wants to hear me babble on a video for longer than 15 minutes. So I'm going to keep it short and sweet. So let's dive in. What is worship? You might think praise and worship, or you might think worship music when the word worship comes to mind. As I was doing some digging this week, I actually looked at what is the actual definition in the original language of the word that's translated worship in our language in the Bible. And here's what I found. It says worship means to bow down, to kiss the hand in reverence, to prostrate in homage like before a king, or like a dog licking his master's hand. It's a posture of reverence, bowing before a king, laying prostrate, which is like forehead to the ground. Worship is a posture. I feel I'd be doing a major disservice to you guys if I didn't demonstrate the practice. Here's how the Old Testament believers got down. Whew, that was a good worship session. In all seriousness, worship really is a posture, but it's a posture of the heart. If you think about that posture, bowing, prostrate, forehead on the ground, that's something that you would only do in the presence of a king. You wouldn't even do that for your parents or for authority figure. You would only do that in the presence of a king to show respect, to show honor, to show reverence. And so worship for us is also a posture, but it's a posture of the heart. It's bowing your heart in reverence to God, giving him our respect and fear and reverence that he deserves. And another aspect of worship that we all understand, and this is something that we all get, and it's because of college football, is just to capture the idea. If you look in the stands at a college football game, right, there's grown men like in their 30s and 40s even, painting their bodies and screaming and raising their hands and yelling at the top of their lungs and jumping up and down and chanting and crying and singing. There's hands raised and there's songs that are sung. Glory, glory to old Georgia. We get that aspect, that we get caught up in something. That worship is taking place there. And the fact of worship is that we all worship. We were created to worship. No matter what you do, no matter what I do in my day, I'm going to worship something. So the question is not whether you're going to worship, is what are you going to worship? And ever since the beginning, we've been getting worship wrong. As humans, we were tempted. The first temptation in the garden, if you go all the way back, the serpent came and tempted Adam and Eve. And when he tempted them with that fruit, what he was really tempting them with was, hey, you could be the object of worship instead of the worshiper. You could be like God if you eat this fruit. If you'll just take a piece of this fruit and eat it, then you could be the one on the stage that's being worshiped. You could be like God instead of being the worshiper of God. And ever since then, we've been trying to steal the spotlight from God and trying to worship created things rather than the Creator. I want to show you this from Romans chapter 1, verse 21 through 24. I'm going to read this real quick. It says, "For although they knew God, they did not honor him as God or give thanks to him, but they became futile in their thinking, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Claiming to be wise, they became fools and exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images resembling mortal man and birds and animals and creeping things. Therefore, God gave them up to the lust of their hearts and impurity, to the dishonoring of their bodies, because they exchanged the truth about God for a lie, and they worshipped and served the creature rather than the Creator." So this is the fundamental problem with worship, and we've been doing it ever since, is that we prefer to worship created things over the Creator. And I'll be honest with you, in my own life, I constantly have this problem where I make things that were created by God and worship those things rather than giving God the credit for giving me good things in life. Things like money, things like sex, things like relationships with other people, things like my possessions, or my own self-image, or what other people think of me. Those things get elevated to the most importance, and I bow before those things and worshiping. And so I want to kind of switch gears, and I want to provide you guys with an opportunity to respond. So that's an introduction to worship, and that's kind of how things have been twisted. Now I want you guys to dive in at home on what does the Bible say about worship. And so I'm going to include 3 passages for you guys to look up and just a couple quick questions. I want to be very clear. This is not digital learning, all right? So let's just go ahead and dismiss that altogether. Let's have fun with it. I want to be interactive. I know nobody wants to sit here and listen to me babble on forever, but I encourage you guys, wherever you're at home, whatever, log on. We're going to place the link in our bio, and if you can just click on it, and you'll be prompted to answer some questions totally anonymously, and let's interact over and learn from each other on this issue of worship. What are the things that you are tempted to worship other than God? Let's be honest about it. Get it out there. Talk about it. And let's learn from one another and learn from God's word as we dive in together.